The 10 most underrated horror movies of the 20th century, according to Chatgpt. 1. Let's Scare Jessica to Death, 1971. This eerie psychological horror blurs the lines between madness and the supernatural with a slow burn, dreamlike atmosphere. It was overlooked in its time due to its ambiguity and lack of overt scares, but its mood and themes were ahead of its time, anticipating art house horror decades later. 2. The Changeling, 1980. Despite being one of the most chilling ghost stories ever filmed, The Changeling was overshadowed by flashier horror films of the era like The Shining and Friday the 13th. Its mature tone, minimal gore, and haunting atmosphere make it a quiet masterpiece. 3. The Innocents, 1961. This adaptation of Henry James's The Turn of the Screw is a masterclass in psychological horror. It often gets left out of horror conversations due to its age and subtlety, but its cinematography and ambiguous terror are among the genre's finest. 4. Eyes Without a Face, Les Yeux Sans Visage, 1960. This French horror film was initially dismissed as too gruesome, yet it's a lyrical and tragic meditation on identity and beauty. It influenced body horror auteurs like Cronenberg, but is still lesser known outside horror cinephile circles. 5. Messiah of Evil, 1973. A surreal, nightmarish indie horror that feels like a fever dream. Its atmosphere is utterly unique, but poor distribution and lack of marketing led it to obscurity. It's since been rediscovered as a proto-Lovecraftian cult classic. 6. Hour of the Wolf, 1968. Directed by Ingmar Bergman, this is a deeply personal horror film exploring artistic madness and isolation. It's rarely labeled as horror because of Bergman's art house reputation, but its imagery and existential dread are profoundly disturbing. 7. The Reflecting Skin, 1990. Though technically from the very start of the 90s, this bizarre and unsettling film is often overlooked due to its unconventional tone and hard-to-categorize narrative. It's a gothic nightmare filtered through the lens of American pastoralism. 8. Dead of Night, 1945. This British anthology film predates Twilight Zone and modern horror anthologies. It was highly influential but isn't widely known outside of horror historians. The ventriloquist dummy segment is still one of the scariest ever filmed. 9. The Entity, 1982. A disturbing supernatural thriller based on a real alleged haunting, it explores themes of trauma and sexual violence with unflinching intensity. Overshadowed by other haunted house films, it remains a brutal and effective outlier. 10. Martin, 1976. Directed by George A. Romero of Night of the Living Dead fame, Martin is a bleak, intimate character study of a boy who believes he's a vampire. Its mix of psychological horror and social commentary didn't resonate at the time, but it's since been reevaluated as one of Romero's best.